Okay, let's start. How are you doing? Okay. To be honest with you, like I didn't have much time today to prepare some materials for today's talk, but I will use whiteboard like just to explain some concepts. How do you feel about like Rails? Because like I have I talked with like previous guys and they said like that you like not doing well with Rails these days. Like you get some lectures, but you still have some practice. Is it true? Not how do you feel like them? Like, can you just tell me like number out of out of 10 how you feel about like knowing Rails?
4.
5.
4.
4.
3.
3. 2. 3. 4. How do you feel about like 1, 2, 3, 6? Okay, 6. We got 6. 3, 4. 3, 4. 5. 5. 5 is like all right. If you like 3 or 4, I guess you just can you stop talking? Thank you. Like if you're 3, 4, 2, I guess you need some practice. I'm not sure about like if you. I didn't control like your homework, to be honest. Like I just give it to other people. So if you don't feel fine with the Rails, just ping me after this lecture on like anywhere. I will like, just figure out what I can do to help you. Okay.
Task.
I probably will give you some task and like additional one, and just ask you some questions and see what the like pros and cons you have. Today we're going to talk about background processing and malwares, I guess. And it's a really quite fun topic, but just to start this topic, we actually need to know what is like how actual Rails works and how like application server works. So that's why I will just switch right now to camera and show a widescreen so people can see me. I hope they can see me. Yeah, cool. So let's actually talk how modern web looks like and how it works. Imagine you have a website, right? What's your favorite website these days?
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia? No, I guess it's wiki.com. Something like that. So we have like some URL which you type in here, and somewhere here we have a server which just executing with your Ruby on Rails application, right? So like when you like obviously it happens this way, right? So you have the wiki.com sending request to Ruby on Rails server and sending back to like here. We'll probably skip all magic like happening here because it's really complicated and I don't think we'll have much time to talk today about this. But what's most interesting right now is what actually happens on the server. On the server, I also skipping like all the networking part and so far. Like I just want to understand what happens when your application, like your receives this one. What actually this one is representing?
Request.
Yeah, request. So your application getting requests, right? And some magic happens here. Question number 1: like how much requests can your application handle? What do you think?
Lots of.
What's the lots of like 2 is a lot, 3 is a lot.
Maybe some
Thousands.
number
Thousands.
with the give.
Okay. It's actually quite interesting because I did ask question in the wrong way because I'm asking you how much applications can handle like in a long time, in a second, in a lifetime, right? So I obviously mean like it should happen in a second, right? How much requests you can handle in a second. And I don't think it's 1,000, right? It's quite a big number. So, like, how do you find the limits here? What do you think?
Maybe by threads.
Kind of. It's a close, like, it's close to threads, but it actually really depends on how your application server is running, and I think you have rec, right? Rec lecture about how rec works. So basically, right now, you have a server, application server, running here. Then you have connection, connector for rec, and you have Rails as a framework. And this application server actually have different like design. If you was like really lucky enough to study in the university different designs of application servers, you probably know that like there is a bunch of those. Can you can you tell me a couple of those, like just examples? Okay. Well, here just do this. So I guess like there are like 7 or 6 of them. They're all like really basic concepts. Like we have actually forking server, we have threaded server, we have rare forking server, we have rare threaded server. We have 2 more. I guess we have kind of event tool like server, and it's 6. And we have threads. That's good. I don't know exactly, but it's just using thread function from operating system. So like there's a couple of those, right? But except like these 2, which we will skip for today, there's like 4 of them. And basic concept is that like, actually on every request they are forking, they're creating another process to handle this request, or they like create another thread like to handle this request. What's the difference between forking and threading server? What do you think? Which one is faster?
Threading.
Okay, why is that?
Because forking creates different processes and threading creates different threads, and threads run inside the process.
Okay, yeah, actually threads are faster and cheaper to create other than thread processes. It's by design of operating system. Basically, threads are cheaper because they're actually not creating the same like space, like application space, like whole bunch of like memory, so they're not copying memory. Right now, you can actually create a process with a copy and write, which basically is cheaper, like cheap to create a fork, but still like it's quite expensive. So like it's obviously like creating fork on thread for on every request is quite like quite hard, right? Because like you have to spend like additional time for creating them and then for cleaning them up. So there's 2 of the most popular kind of designs for the servers. It's like pre-forking and pre-threading. Basically, like idea behind them that you have one master process or thread, whatever. And like before, like when you start a new application, you're creating like some limit of like processes or threads. And on every request, you actually like kind of resending this request to like some like thread, and you always keep with who is free right now, who is busy right now, and you just do like looping this across all the threads. So like answering your question, how much requests can you handle? It's actually depends on right now how many threads you have, but multiplied by how much time it takes to process request. So like just give an example, if every request is taking like 1 millisecond, for example, just to process. So for example, you have like 5 threads, and like you can parallel this to 5 like different processes. So it probably will have like how much in a second? Like 5,000 requests, right? But in the real world, like you understand, like you never have like constant time on 1 millisecond because you come into database, all requests are different, sometimes they're stuck, sometimes something goes wrong, and sometimes like it's depends on the CPU, sometimes like 100% and you like overwhelmed and so on. So it's always hard to predict like how much you will get, and when your customer will ask you like, can you give me like exact numbers, you will always need to answer no. There's like some range probably, but it's really hard to predict. Anyhow, but does it make any sense like how we actually right now processing requests, right? Yeah. One part which I want to talk next is like, example, like let's spin up. So you have a server with 5 threads. You have a server, application server, and it has like, let's say 3 threads. Now, request number 1 is coming, and it goes here. Request number 2 coming, it goes here. Request number 3 coming, it goes here. Now, request number 4 is coming. Where should it go?
Should wait.
Yeah, it actually goes to pool, right? It just goes to, it shows to stack, I guess. No, it's a queue. And once one of threads is free, and give a response, go like to which one is free. Problem with such design that actually what happens in, for example, like while processing one of these requests, all of them, it actually getting stuck. And like, let's imagine you're doing some database query, and database is done. Like you all performing slow. Performing slow, right? So what happens? Actually, like usually like on this, like because you always don't want to all this like 5 another requests go to like 4 and wait like forever, right? Because you want to clean it up at some point. Because user don't want to wait like, like an hour for your request. Probably will take wait like 10 seconds. So they'll always take like some timeouts, like 10 seconds timeout for this pool or for this one. So just at some point just drop request. And it's fine if it's database, like right, but sometimes you're doing API calls. So you call in some third-party API. It's like more real world example. Problem with API calls that sometimes they actually take a long time because you never can predict what happens on the other side. Like you just totally like blind. It can be like 1 millisecond, it can be 10 seconds, whatever. So and like if you always call in some API calls and so on, with the current design, it's really hard to manage some like throughput, and actually if you have a lot like it's like just imagine that like you're totally dependent on some third-party API and you call in all the time to this API. At some point they rebooting servers, and like just whole like application server for you will just stuck, right? Because like you just call in this API and it doesn't work, and you try and again, like, and together with some API calls, like which you're doing here, sometimes you're doing, give me a home page, which is like really super easy, super lightweight request. But because other requests are kind of taking a lot of time, it will wait in the queue and probably will drop off. So kind of affecting all this API calls, affecting all the application server idea. Or another more like real world example is when some of your managers come to you and say, hey, like we have export function and you can export orders, right? And And he, like, instead of exploring orders like last week, he decided to report like export orders for 10 years. And at some point, they just start generating like 10 years support for all the orders with millions and millions like of data, and it keeps a connection. And other managers can like just start generating, and probably like not even like generating, just he just put in this 3 times on this records, and it just gets stuck, and your application goes down. Nobody's happy. That's why we need background jobs. Background jobs. I will show you what I mean like when saying background jobs. But for like going there, do you actually know how this problem with like things stuck because of like one operations are solved in other technologies? So there's actually a good solution for this.
Maybe like in processes, like give some time for each request to be processed, and after the limit is off, you should stop processing them and start work without requests.
It's an idea, but I just give you a little bit overview. Huh?
You should you should notify the user that you do some background job.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I know. I'm talking about in general. So in general, on Node.js, it's like out of the box. There's another implementations in web machine, I guess, a little bit. But general code invent tool. So the idea behind mn is actually it doesn't have all these like threads and like processes which are statically defined. What they do, they actually like every time request is coming, they start processing, and once it has any I/O operation or some API call, it just goes out to the separate server, like separate thread. And once it's done, it goes back. So like you have main loop which like kind of getting requests and giving out back response. But once like it's just an idea. But once you have like some long running operations, it goes to different thread, and once it's finished, it goes back. So this one actually it's allow you to solve problem when someone start 1 million records query or something more for an API call, because it just will fail for thread, but it will not fail for whole system. It's a good design. It has some limitations because actually it needs like, to be honest, this one is not actually like 100% parallel, right? Because you cannot parallel this request because you only have one event loop and you have threads. So it's like not 100% parallel, but it just works like this way. This one advantage of event loop, and this one solved. Anyhow, let's go to background jobs. I will show you right now on the laptop. This anymore. All right. So let me switch to camera main and go. Actually, if you Google Rails background jobs, oh, TV is off. Okay, thank you. Background jobs. Turning on. And here we go. So like, if you Google Rails background jobs, it will go you to official Ruby on Rails guide. I think it's like active job was introduced in Rails 5, I guess. Probably it's like 4.2. It's 4.2, so like not far along. But this one is actually just interface for existing gems or libraries, which like was doing background jobs before, and like by this library they just kind of tried to unify API and like how it's actually been working.
I think like we just need to create another like just example and see how it works. So let's create Rails new. What will be the name? Cat Lover application. I need Rails again. Okay. Rails. It will be 5.2. Looks fine. Okay, while it's installing. So like if you talk about like if we start talking about Rails background jobs, there's only like 3-4 libraries which actually are in the market right now, and if you use an active job, you can actually like easily switch between like different libraries. So if you see settings here, let's see. Yeah, like see like on the backend, you can actually like on the configuration of your application, you can actually set what's the adapter you're using like to use active jobs, and like there's like 4 adapters. But like idea and API is really simple. So like if you look on the very top, you have some class called whatever job, and it's always inherited from application job, which is a blade class. And you have a different queues because you can actually control which queue are more prioritized, which are like less prioritized, and so on. And inside of this job, you have like some arguments, and you're doing something like inside. And if you want to include this job, you actually just saying, hey, job, perform later, and just giving the params. Or if you want this job to be executed in 1 week, you're saying a job set for 1 week and perform like later with the params. And yeah, it's like mostly like what you need to know about background jobs, just how to define them, how to include them, and actually another part is how to run them. I think it should be called jobs work. Yeah, anyhow, I'll show you in a minute. Rails is installing. Okay, Rails new cat lover. Let's wait for a bit. I'm not sure if it goes with the what database is by default. Nice, my favorite one. SQLite. Cool. Let's generate some models. Rails generate Rails generate scaffold. Cat with name and age integer, for example. Come on. No, actually, I have to wait until like all the gems are installed. S comes from Selenium screen. Here we go. Installing. Here we go. Yes? No? No. Missing a gem, SQLite by 3, blah blah, activated 1.4. What do you mean? 1.4, 1.3.
Same problem. I just changed the version
to be 1.4. Okay.
Not 1.4, but
1.3.
1.3.6.
Okay, 1.3.6. Bundle so. And okay, once again, here we go. Let's start. No. Oh, meet one is cat wallet. Let's start Rails. So we have application with ability to migrate. With the ability to manage cats here. Cats. Okay, just create some new one. Cat and Reagan Moreno. And have a new one. Quill Key. And one more. Cool. So 341, really young one. So like imagine that at some point, like when we let's just give some example. Like we want to give away cat. No, it's way one. Send the report. Yeah, like let's imagine just we at some point we want to send the report that like we have this number of cats to let's just print it out. We'll send the report later, but let's just print it out, and we will have button called send the report. Here we'll have action called, let's just give it to get send a report, right? And let's see what the roles are. And on the cat's index page, somewhere under new cat, we'll have send report, and we'll send the report with the cats here. And I need my right to just give you a demo. Rails. Okay. And on our controller for cats, we will have send the report somewhere here. Send the report. And just go sketch it for now. Yep, and send the report, and we're here, and we'll just drop it. So cool, it works. So and just yeah, let's send the report with a malware. So actually, let's just keep background jobs for a minute, and I will give you some like ideas and overview what the malwares and how we actually send emails for Rails, because they play nice together. So basically, like if you Google action malware on Rails, this one is really super stupid concept. So Rails out of the box has ability to send emails, right? And it has special syntax for this. Like you have, it's basically kind of rendering like a view on a controller, but with a little bit like advantages and disadvantages. So basic syntaxes is you have a class called malware, which is inherited from application malware, and you define in different constants and so on. And in the variant, you have like email saying like whatever, and you use a mail method just to send email, and it will render some views. Let's just create another malware. I think I can generate, let's say, Rails generate malware cat. Okay, it's generated me a malware, and so you can see we have malwares here, and it's called cat malware, and we will have a report method called report, which will get the cats, and it will get the cats and just mail them to let's just do some static one called notify, let's say notify government.com with the topic you need to take care of these cats. should do a job, right? I'm pretty much sure like, that there is. Oh, it should be not com. It should be gov. Not if I think this one should be existing. Government gov. Now, is it like Belarus gov? USA gov. Okay, you would go to USA gov. So like as like on background jobs for mailers, you actually can be using different engines and different settings to send emails. You can use like, for example, you can use Classical SMTP protocol to send emails via SMTP, or you can use some APIs and some wrappers. But for development, we have a really nice gem called Letter Opener. Like basically, what this gem does is actually you can install it for development, and instead of real like sending email, because you obviously don't want to send email while you development, right? I have a story actually when I was like junior developer. I didn't know about this gem, and we were using real account like for sending emails. At some point, I just uploaded new database from production, and I just forget to change and clean up the users. So at some point, I find myself sending like emails from my development machine to like million of users just because I just run wrong database. It was a little bit like scary, but fortunately we actually hit limits on our free account. It only allowed us send like 1,000 emails per day, and like I didn't send like million, just send like 1,000, which also was a bummer, but it was fine. So anyhow, like for emails, you have to install a gem, and you have to configure your development just here on the development. Okay, I will show you how it works right now. Cool. Let's start a server, and let's just have a really simple email saying on the views. Actually, we have a views called cat mailer, and we have to report HTML ERB, and let's just have some tag here saying cats are awesome, and on cats controller here we'll use cat mailer report cat all I guess it should be delivered a redirect to back. Okay, now it should do a really basic one. You are coming to cats page, you click in send report, and basically what you like see it getting you getting redirected and define back URL. Okay, let's go back to just cats. Let's get to cats pass. Like demo once again. Send report, you get redirected back. It works here, and you see like we send email. It's like just like we kind of send email, but we just actually cache them, and it says like from date to cats are awesome, right? And so that's how like actual malware works. You define a malware. We just recap. You define a malware, and in the malware you use special syntax. You actually using mail to define where actually like using what's the head and what's the lines in the head you're using, and you have a view. It's kind of the same view as a controller, but just for the malware. And here you can just customize the text. For example, if you want a table of cats, what you will need to do, you will create a table, and on the head you will have, so for example, name and age. and that's why I didn't like running HTML body. So and like as a regular view, you can actually interact across all the cats because you have a cats variable here. You go through each cat and just render them here. Cats tr tb to be what's the name? Cat name. And will be cat h. Okay, once again, with the demo, send in a report. We have a table with the cats saying like name and age. Is it cool? I feel like you're missing me because like everybody just looking through, trying to look through the wall. Is it fine? No.
What happens with email? I still don't understand.
What do you mean?
You catch it with run or?
Like how this like actually works? We mean like how this email rendered in browser? Okay, once again, we have a library called letter opener. It's a gem.
Ah, okay, I understand.
Yeah, so
I don't understand, please go on.
okay, so like when you like kind of send in emails, you have different options. Like you can actually send in using like some services like Gmail. You can just type your password and email, and we just send using Gmail. But it's not really comfortable for development because in development you don't want to actually send email, go check your Gmail, wait while it's like so processed. So we have a library called letter opener. It's a small library which actually not sending emails, but instead it kind of caches it up and renders in the browser. So it just creates a file for you and just shows you how email looks like in the browser. So you don't need to like send email on Gmail or something. And I did configuration actually. Here you see like I'm saying, hey Rails, please deliver my emails with the letter opener. Because if we go here, you will see that like if you want to use SMTP, for example, for Gmail, it probably has is Gmail example. Yeah, like for production or for other servers, you will ask, hey, please deliver my emails with SMTP, and here's my address, port, domain, username, password, authentication, blah blah blah. And this one actually will be sending emails just using it like Gmail, and this one is just open up, and that's it. Just for development. Okay, cool. It's a little bit magic, but it's really comfortable magic. Okay, so we have saying about malwares. What options we actually can configure inside the malwares? We malwares itself. They actually really close to controllers and views. With a little bit difference. So you can actually configure some defaults, and you also can have different layouts of views. So you can just start basic layout, how it looks for all the malwares, and then you for example you on your layout. Yeah, we have layout here, like you see, for our malware, and here we probably will say. Usually it does this way. We have a footer, and on the footer this will say this email is sent by awesome Rubizza people. And basically for on the layout and the views, when you send in a report, it always will be using the layout, and it is every email will have this line down the text. So I think it's easy one, right? Okay. Also, you can create a views. It's fine. You can actually what else? It's fine. I'm talking. Yeah, you can actually use attachments. So it's also really fun one. You can define that you want attachment to be sent with this email, in regular emails, and I just have an example. So like you will have attachment called, let's say gem file. We will attach gem file, and it will be reading Rails root join gem file. So every time you send in email, it actually will be sending you like attachment. You see, like it has attachment. It's just basically attaching the file. It's really cool because like when you send an attachment, it's actually really fun how it's being attached to email. You can actually see when you send an email, you can actually see how it looks like in protocol way. You have like headers, and you have some footer, and you have some boundary, and actually like you see there's attachment here. Like you see like it's attachment. It's being hashed with the base 64 and being attached here. So it's like email protocol, like HTTP. So you can send attachments. You can customize them really well. There's inline attachments. So difference between attachments and inline attachments. In attachments are usually actually attached this way. So at some point you will just just attached separately from email, and inline attachment is actually kind of injected just inside of your email body. I mean, like just here. Not just with small difference. When you will feel you need it, you will find it out. You can use defaults and blah blah. You can use views. You can do hashing. So nothing really special about views. Oh, here we go. Actually, we can fun because like on Rails 5, I guess we can preview emails. How it actually works? Oh, yeah, you can use previews. It probably makes sense, but I would prefer to use weather opener our previews. But you can just create the previews for email. That's probably most of it. Dynamic delivery options. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, on documentation it says like that actually you can receive emails in the Rails application. It's a fun feature, but in my 10 years of experience, I use it only once. So like just because it's really probably underestimated feature, I don't know why. But idea is that actually like when you send an email, some people can reply to your email, and you will get like your reply back to the server, and you can just catch it up and see how it goes. So yeah, you can have a receive method which will send get an email, and you can just extract some information from this email. But again, like it has only like one, like how much, 3, 4, 6 lines of how it can be done, and nobody's saying like a real example. But you just need to know that like you can receive emails with the Rails. Yeah, that's it. Probably like just simple one. What I want to show you is actually how what happens like when you actually have not one cat, but let's imagine you have cat oh no, it's always a bad one. Cats, so cat auto. We'll say 1000 times do cat sample clone this. Is it correct one? Cat count. Let's cat clone. What's the method for this? Duplicate? Yeah, here we go. So 1000 times do sample dupe save, I guess. Dupe save. And like you start having a problem with it because when you start having like 1,000 of cats, right? Because even this page would take some time to load, and if I will increase to 10,000 times and keep doing this, it takes some time, right? Even right now. how much it takes? It takes almost 1 second right now. 2 seconds. And we're getting more and more. Yeah, kind of 2 seconds. I just realized that I need to move my cat index buttons to top, because it will be some time to find them on the page. I can stop guess. Yeah, 10,000 cats. So we have like 10,000 cats. It's a big number of cats. And right now you can send a report. And again, like it takes some time to send this report. It takes not too much time, right? Now here we go. It takes some time. So and we have like really simple, like super simple structure here, but in real time, in real world, you probably will have something more advanced. Like let's say we will have like more and more fields to be rendered, and like it will be quite insane. Just trying to figure out what's the best way to make it slow. Yeah, you see, like it's right now. It's really slow. Quite a big number of data. So that's where like you start thinking, probably I need just to do something with it and just you know start render it in background and sending like this email to different like in the background. So I actually don't want to wait like every time I wait my email. And let's go back to active jobs and how it works. So background jobs. Like if you go through guide, you will say like we need just to generate a job, and we will generate a job saying cat report sender, and we have a job called cat report sender. And what we'll have here, actually we'll receive the cats, and on our cats controller, instead of calling report deliver, we will copy it up here, and cat report sender job we'll call perform later, and call it cat o, and we'll be using cats here. So this simple one, like instead of sending a report and like sending here, we'll just queue it up and execute it later. Let's see how fast it works right now. So if I render my page, which is still quite slow, I'm sending a report, and it just it takes like it doesn't work. Active record duration. Okay, so this is a problem that actually I need to go and to understand what the problem is. You need to understand how you actually like your jobs actually they can receive a params, right? But to understand how they receive the params, you need to understand how background jobs works. And usually, like the idea behind background jobs, I'll be using my paper again. So basic idea is that you have application running, and you have usually some storage, and also you have some background jobs running. And background jobs, they actually kind of every, let's say, 1 second asking storage saying, hey, do you have anything like any new for me, do you have any new for me, and every second just keep asking storage. An application actually using just open, like insert some record. Saying, hey, background job. In our scenario, it will say, can you execute cat record job with a queue default
and params. And like, this very big question mark saying like, what params will be used for this job when I'm using this one? Any ideas? Do you understand the question? So like, it uses storage. Storage means database, right? And it, like application creates a record in database saying like this job needs to be used at some point. Boolean job process takes this like record, some kind of involves it, and executes. So when I'm using cat O, like here, what will be params? Like how do we serialize them? How they will look like in database? Ideas?
Like if you
Like if you will. Okay, let's start simple. We have a cat that first, right? What type of object will return? Cat that first. When I execute like in console.
first object.
What type of object?
Hash?
So again?
Hash?
No.
Это
first, come on.
active record.
Okay, it will be cat object. Yeah, with the ID number 1, I guess. Then it will be inherited from active record base. Right? Okay, when I'm asking, can you give me cat where ID equal ID is 1, 2, 3? What type of record will be this one? So,
Mass?
second,
Mass?
array.
Oh,
No, it will not. It can be the array, but at some point it will be not array.
Maybe it's semantic records.
So again,
Collection.
not collection. Trick here, like actually, like when you take in this type of object, let's say it's cats code, right? It's cats. So you can actually do the next one. You can say cats equal cats where name Diego. Good name for cat. Diego. And see what we're using where here. This one is actually well code, so you can be using where, then you kind of using cat, but you also using where. I'm not sure who did to actually for it's a record for you, Timo. So this one is called chain, right? You can chain your request to this one. Like if it's array, it's impossible to chain this request. So that's why actually this one is not array. This one is actually called action record relation. This is a special type of object which is not kind of array, but at the same time it can be array. So if you use 2a, which is should be read as 2array, it will convert this type of object to array. But like vice versa, you cannot use like where chaining with array because it's array of objects. And if we type, I think it will work right now. To array. Let's try it again. Here we go. So you see what? I just converted to array, and it was serialized and deserialized to object. So basically, what happened next when you convert these objects to array, they are being serialized to some kind of string here to be saved to database. Problem with this serialization is that actually it's really hard to serialize objects. Like it's super hard because it has so much fields, it has some data and blah blah. So I'm not sure why, but I think like right now, object Rails, it's using a concept called global
object, I guess, or showing the meaning of the does. But it just uses just because the data serialization. Anyhow, do you understand how background jobs works in general? It's like this communication. So we have two servers, two processes. One is just insert something to storage. Another one is like just getting something from storage every second. So, and like every job is just basically some record in a database. Cool. Let's go back. So as I said, it's really hard to serialize objects to database because if you're taking cat and taking first and you're doing to hash to, I guess it should be serialized method. Let's say cat first. Cat is a better word. K C. Object. Let's say. Give me a second. Object ID. Okay, let's say we will serialize to JSON, right? This one is a quite big object also, and you can serialize it to. Give me a second. Ruby serialize object background jobs. There's a special method saying like how to serialize my objects, and it should be just give me a second. Oh, I love this topic. How I fix my biggest mistake with implementing background jobs. I know he'll be talking about. So yeah, anyhow, like you see, like how much is data like to like when you serialize and even to JSON or to some string or to YAML, whatever. Like you can see YAML, right? Actually, yeah. Actually, Ruby objects are serialized to YAML, so it's a big number. And imagine you have like thousands of these objects, and you're trying to insert this to database and get it back. It's like huge amount of data. So at some point, there are like two ways of doing this. Initially, if we were facing with a lot of data, you actually you was sending IDs here, because cat IDs is not really a big number of data. Cat all IDs to YAML. Anyway, it's quite a lot, but it's not too much, right? It's like probably size. So 80,000 symbols. It's fine. It's more if I will try to serialize all cats, and just even interesting. Cat all map to YAML join size. It will be. Let's wait for a bit. I told you, like, it's really like, yeah, here we go. So comparing to this number, like this one is smaller, and on the opposite side, you were receiving cat IDs, and here you was just saying, hey, my cats are cat where ID are IDs, and it was fine, right? Because IDs is always less than saying, but Ruby. I mean, like Rails, at some point they start using thing called global ID. Basically, idea behind global ID is that like you actually can send your objects to your this way, to array. But instead of like serializing whole object to YAML, it will be doing global ID method, which is not like available here for some reason. Works with the mixes in global, which way it's going to go. Give me a second. What's the global ID? Oh, I guess it should be global ID. Now, global ID. To global ID. Yeah, like you see it. And basically, what it's kind of like it does the magic and serialize method to some like kind of string with the class and ID, and it can be reached. Like you can actually ask a process saying like, hey, can you give me this object by this ID, and it will get it back. And it's like just becomes easier to go and find the objects in database and so on. So instead of like serializing to big YAML or giving IDs, it's just using global ID and that's it. I hope it makes sense for you. I tried to explain this as simple as I can. Okay, so how actually I do? Interesting. Like actually, right now, you see, like I'm executing a job here, but it's being executed at the same. I guess it's the same thread. But if I go back to my console on development and I find active job, I don't see an active job. Active job. Active job. Name delimiter. Okay, I guess it is using different adapters. So let's try and use this one adapter called sidekick. Go file, and I will install this here. What I'm trying to show you right now that like there's some default adapter on the Rails by default inside, which is just executing the same code as like in the same thread. So you're not giving, just for development, you're not having any anything like on the background. But if you're using sidekick, I guess what will happen here, like if we send the report, it shouldn't work. Again, I hope it doesn't work. So I'm again sending the report. Let's get rid of these cats here. Cats index and just remove this table. We don't need this. Once again, okay, send the report, and you see like it doesn't happen, right? So we just just send it and get it nothing. So with the different adapters, you actually need to go and run your process separately. I guess this is how we're doing this. And let's try it again. So you can send in a report, and it's being executed here. You see, like it's being enqueued, and you get your report. And it's fun because actually, if you go to your storage, you have another report because there was 2 of them. You have more and more reports. You see, like 12 seconds, 15 seconds. So if we check, we will actually see flush all keys. Yeah, like you see, like how data is processed, how it actually is being executed. So let's try it again. We'll get processes. Oh yeah. I'll show you a different way. Sidekick UI. Sidekick. For this library, we are actually having a special. It should be roles. A special like UI to see how our jobs are being executed. I'll show you in a minute. Here we go. Okay, see, like this is like UI for our background jobs server, and you see like we have one process executing. It has 10 threads, with 10 threads, which means I can execute 10 parallel reports at the same time. And I can, for example, I can run second thread. I mean, I can start separate server, and we'll see 2 threads here. But what I will do here, I will probably just run the console and send 50 reports to myself. Cat O2A. I guess we should do cats this way. And 50 times perform report cats. And you see, like, we start executing them and have 2, 3 in a queue, and we're having more, 7. And my CPU should go like really up right now because I'm just start getting some reports. Show my CPU. Here we go. Because I'm trying to send like 4 in, and it goes more and more. We start having failures actually. See, like some of them are failed right now. But you get an idea, right? Right now we're just trying to run as many reports as we have. Okay, stop it, please. Let's go and talk about different libraries for background jobs, because as I mentioned on the very beginning, active job is just some interface for different libraries. If we Google, if you go to Ruby Toolbox, which is a really good website to seeing what the libraries are available for different type of requests, we can Google background jobs. And on background jobs, we'll see it's still. Oh, stop it! There is so much cats here. Okay. Fails. So for background jobs. Here, JavaScript tools. I'm not sure if it's all because of my Mac, so it's just internet connection. Let me kill it. Okay, we should be good right now. Let's search a library then. Is it my connection or is it like just a website? Yeah, here we go. So it has background jobs category. So basically, I know 1, 2, 3. I never work with the beanstalk. Yeah, but it's like WoW commit activity in the last 3 years, so we shouldn't just. It was development 2015, so it's not actually under development. We have 3 type of DOA jobs. I mean, like 3 types of servers. There is more of them actually. Like there is just much more of them, but we will talk about 3 of them these days. And we start with the simplest one. We have a thing called DOA job. So like difference between all the 3 libraries. There are like actually two main differences between all of them. One of the differences is that like some of those they made with the processes, and some of those are made with the threads. So like for example, DOA job, it made with the processes. So like every worker, like every job, like every separate job will be running on the separate process. Okay. And also like this one divide job as a storage to communicate with the application or between between different jobs. It uses active record, which means it does use database. And like just MySQL, Postgres, just some database you're using on the system. So big advantage of this divide job, it's really super stupid. It uses database, so we don't need to install some like storages and some additional ones, and it's just it. So it's just really super stupid. But because of it's using like process for every job to run 10 jobs in parallel. You need 10 processes. Considering that like every job will probably take 100 megabytes of RAM. To run 10, you need 1 gigabyte, and when run 20, you have 2 gigabytes. And as your application is running and growing, at some point it will need to run one process like 200 megabytes, 300 megabytes of RAM, and it will just block the memory. So you need to take care of this RAM and so on. So Rescue is a second one, which was really popular. It's using the same idea as a divide job. It uses process for every job, but instead of using your database, it is actually using Redis as a background. So yeah, it needs Redis. Why Redis? Like everybody have an answer? Like why we use Redis instead of using PostgreSQL, MySQL? Do you know what the Redis is? You should know what the Redis is. So why do we prefer Redis instead of using MySQL?
Runs into RAM.
Mostly MySQL is also in the RAM.
It's very fast.
Yeah, it's actually really fast. It's just one of the topics, right? Because on Redis you can create things are fine. How much? 100,000 requests in less than 2 seconds, which is quite cool, right? I don't think we can achieve this number of requests with the database, even like with the simplest one. So it's this one is really simple, really fast, and also with database, especially for the PostgreSQL, by its design, PostgreSQL is never actually removing kind of storage, like when you're creating new jobs, and if there is no space on table, it just creates some additional space from the system. So it's usually table is growing really fast. So it's not cool to use PostgreSQL with the heavy update delete tables. It's like just idea. And we have Sidekick. What's cool about Sidekick actually is one of libraries which has kind of crazy amount of stars. It's only 10,000, but just simple library. And what's cool is that actual Sidekick it has a paid ones, like it has Pro version and Enterprise versions. And guy who created Sidekick is charging $1,000 a year, and it's a really fair price. And I don't remember where I get this data, but these days he got 10,000 clients probably, just crazy amount. Yeah, everybody using Pro and Enterprise, so it's a bigger number of data. So it's a great example of how just by creating some open source library you can start earning millions of dollars a year just by solving one single task. So that's very cool. Usually Sidekick right now on the Rails world is #1 choice, and basically it has all advantages from Rescue. It uses Redis as a background job. Is a storage, and also it uses threads instead of processes, so it's much cheaper to run them. And you can actually run multiple processes of Sidekick, and every process will have some stack of threads, so you can just do parallelization. You can see there is a performance comparison. You see for the Sidekick 4 we have 4,000 jobs in second. For the Rescue and Divide job we have 300. So it's quite impressive, right? And it takes 150 megabyte of RAM, and that's it. So it's quite cool. And it has one really quite fine UI for to see what happens if you like have busy and queued jobs and so on. Just short introduction, but just like for your project, I strongly recommend to use Sidekick if you're doing something with background jobs. All right. What else? What we have left in jobs? So with the jobs execution, we have backends. We have Sidekick. I told you. Yeah, we have different queues. It's quite queues are used to prioritize or just limit different type of jobs. For example, let's say we have two types of jobs. One type of job is send cat report, yeah, to like admin, for example. A second type of job is to send emergency cat notification that cat was lost. And obviously, like you want to this like emergency type of to be executed like before all the reports are sent. So like usually queues are just for this. And on really big systems, I can show you just some intro. Like that's one of our production systems we're using. And give me a second. Double dots. Yeah, so like for production, big productions, so you have a big number of queues. You see, like just insane, like it's not insane, but like tens of them, right? And you have like million of jobs, and like you having like 50, 60 running in parallel. So it's kind of big one. Okay, that's like more to give you idea how you can use queues. What else? Queue name prefixes, it's fine. Yeah, you have ability to perform jobs later, which means like you can say, hey, this report should be sent in 1 hour or in 2 hours or like tomorrow. So at some point or some time. And like what will happen actually, like background job every time it's asking storage, do you have any jobs for me? It also check like jobs which are in the time period. So it's fine. I don't like. Do you want to do a demo of this, or it's just fine? Like just perform waiter and just that's it. Okay. Callbacks. I'm not sure if you're using callbacks, but like you can just do cleanup or do some reporting, whatever, if you want to. After perform, I never actually use callbacks in the jobs. I'm not sure if you want to. Yeah, it's fine because with the action malware, like with the jobs and action malware, you can use deliver waiter method, and instead of creating this crazy type of can report send job, right, and passing the IDs, we can just use like here we can use on the controller cats all. I guess it should be to A also. And instead of dealing, we say deliver waiter. Because like obviously sending emails is one of like stuff that you want to postpone from your. So it has integration with the action malware. And again, we send in a report. And nothing happens because we're not running our blockers, but we can use Sidekick, and we'll have reports here again and again. So like you got an idea. Introductions, not using global idea. I already told you. Exceptions, yeah. So one of cool features of jobs, actually, when you execute them, you can repeat them again and again. So we mentioned you tried to send email, but email server wasn't available. So you can say, okay, retry on this exception, and it will retry like in 3 seconds, in 5 seconds, and it has like depending on adapter, you have different strategies how to like define your retry kind of strategy. So we can say like retry every 5 seconds, or retry every 5 seconds plus like 5 seconds extra each time, and so on, which is kind of cool. We're using this like a lot. I mean, it's a lot because sometimes for reading some nasty third-party applications, you need to try it again and again. Yeah, that's probably like most of it. It's encrypted jobs. What do you need to know besides documentation? So with a Sidekick, which is -- choice, there's a number of cool libraries. I think it has documentation on the wiki page here, I guess. Yeah, and it should be libraries, extensions, divide extensions. Deploy Ubuntu, blah blah blah. No, it doesn't have. Like anyhow, like it has some great extensions. For example, one of the extensions is that it's called Sidekick Limit Fetch. What it does, it actually allows you to limit some queue by some number, saying like, hey, at some point there should be only 2 jobs in the queue, I guess, right? Yeah, so just
What happens with the others?
I guess they're just not in queued, they're just postponed.
And if you try to do something.
No, just yeah, when you'll be executed, your job just will be failing. Like, I mean, like you just instead of executing, like instead of in queuing, you just fail, give you exception. Oh no, actually I'm wrong. Give me a second. Yeah, actually, it's the wrong way. I'm not like it's not like you can put this number of jobs to a queue, but you actually can work with only this time of jobs at the same time when processing them. I mean, like
Number of threads.
no, yeah, a kind of number of threads. So like only 5 this queue type of jobs can be executed simultaneously. Usually you can limit to 1, and only 1 job can be executed at the same time. For example, like if you using some stupid FTP server which doesn't have enough, it doesn't have ability to support multiple connections. So you need to just make sure that you have only 1 connection to 1 server, and that's it. Also, there is another one called Sidekick Unique Jobs. Unique jobs. Basically, what it does, it makes sure that like you're using, like it's just out of the name, you are using the same, like your job is unique, so you cannot queue it twice or 3 times. Because actually, really super stupid scenario is like at some point you're using, like at some point you realizing that you want to charge a client a background job and send notification, because like charging your client is quite a big process, and you start using background jobs for charging the client, and at some point like your client clicked on charge button 3 times or more, and you have 3 parallel requests, and they all come into like background job server. So like this one is just to make sure you are not using the same type of jobs for every client. But this one actually doesn't work. I tried multiple times, it always fails for me at some point. So I strongly recommend you to use thing called Redux Mutex. This one is basically Mutex library, which is like kind of Mutex in programming, but you actually using Redis as a single point of truth container. So if you want to 100% sure that your job is unique, just use this one and it will do a job for you. And another one is a Sidekick scheduler, I guess. Scheduler. So sometimes like background jobs are also used to run some calculations, preheat some caches, all kind of stuff, right? And this one actually allows you to execute some job at some point of time, saying like, hey, at 12, like at the midnight every day, I want to send general report to our admins, or at the 4 a.m. I want to make sure that we have, I know, make sure that I'm doing like database backups, for example.
It doesn't access to the storage.
How this works?
Yeah.
So basically, what it does, like it just starts cron. It's a Linux subsystem for running jobs, and it just executes some job at some point. So just enqueues like cron. Cron actually is minimum 1 minute, I guess. Every minute cron is being executed, and like if it's matching some pattern, it just enqueues a job, and it goes to storage, and background job gets back to from the storage, and blah blah. So at the same time. Okay. So this one is like for some regular jobs, and that's it. I guess that's all for me from background jobs and my standpoint. Do you have any questions? Yeah, shoot.
Kind of stupid.
It's my favorite.
I really understand how using background jobs can speed up our application. I mean, that, for example, user quits and something has to be rendered. It's not sent to the background.
So again, like, so you're saying like speed up rendering, or what?
Not rendering, but running it always stuff.
Like one of the rules of using background jobs is like you want some long-running operations to be there. Sometimes there's another cool technique with the background jobs, like when you actually send in a request to a server, and this server kind of you kind of enqueue this request to be processed in background jobs, like probably some part of it. And you can actually parallel it to like really multiple jobs. For example, like imagine you open up your favorite like onliner.by, for example, right? And for every article here, you need to go and calculate number of comments, like actual number of comments of like some kind of that. Instead of doing this like on the fly, so like you go through a comment, you go check on the database how much a comment gets, right? What you can do, we can just render just the comments without like just this page without comments, and then ask background jobs for every article, go and check how much comments it does, and using web sockets, you can go back and send this information back to user, saying like, hey, this article has this number of comments, so on, because we consider that like comments calculating is kind of hard operation. But it's really advanced technique. Wow, long ranges in the browsers. So basically that's it. It's quite hard to show you and understand as this problem, but just right now use background jobs for emails, for some regular jobs, and for some long running. It will be enough for you. Okay. Any more questions? All right. Good to see you.